NOFX had thought of making a documentary 20 years ago. And they had put a blast out to their fans and said, if you have any material, like if you have video of our live shows, if you have this, can you send it to us? And lots of people did, like hundreds of people did, and they never opened them. And so
wow. You're like a punk rock archaeologist or something.
So like I remember pulling Rubbermaid out of Melvin's house and opening it, and the like envelopes were in like unopened.
When were you first approached about making this NOFX documentary?
I actually approached them. I was just like, I'm like every other NOFX fan. I'm a huge fan of the music. I grew up with it. I was in the kind of middle of my career making a bunch of documentaries, and I had a list of, I literally on my phone, like in the Notes app, made like a list of like 10 things. I was like, these are the 10 dream projects I want to do. And one of them was NOFX. And I emailed, on a whim, I just emailed Fat Records and said, this is who I am. Like, I think I had a link to my IMDb or something. And said, you know, I'm a real filmmaker. You know, this isn't just like a fan request. And I want to make a documentary about the band. And Mike emailed me back personally. And it said, it was 2 sentences. The first was, I like TV. Because I was like, I'm a TV true crime filmmaker. That was kind of what I led with. And the second line was, I hate it when emails end abruptly, especially when. And I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing.
Yeah, what an incredible vibe. Yeah.
And then we got on a Zoom, and he was in rehab at the time. And,
all right.
And we were just Zooming and talking about the band, and you know, we really kind of hit it off personally and connected. And then we kind of started brainstorming, like, what should we do with this? And so, you know, should we take this to Netflix? Should we do a film? Should we try to make a TV series? And ultimately, we decided that a film would be the best way to go. And Mike, you know, was just like, you know, we got to do this our way kind of thing. So then that's what we did.
There's 41 years of stuff and history and ups and downs, but I can honestly say in my heart, my friendship for those guys has never strayed.
There can't be other epilogues, except we'll see you all at OP Dogs.
So it's a bit of a dream come true type moment as far as being a fan and then getting to work with the band and build out this documentary. Could you just like tell us a little bit about how you became a NOFX fan? Like, give us a little bit of your backstory and sort of like how you were probably a punker, like a punk rock kid, that sounds like.
Yeah, I don't like, I was probably a punk rock kid, but I mean, yeah, I was a punk rock kid, but probably like a lame punk rock kid.
Aren't we all?
But yeah, in high school I was really into, you know, it was the 90s. So I was really into Nirvana and Green Day, and that, you know, that's something you kind of learn about, you know, even the biggest punk rockers. When I was talking to Frank Turner, and he's like, that was the route in for me. You know, it was like 5 guys, you know, every 5 people that check out, every 10 people that check out Nirvana and Green Day, you know, 5 of them maybe check out NOFX. That's the way it was for me. And then I played guitar. I was in a bunch of punk rock bands in high school.
Where was that at? Where'd you go to high school?
In Calgary. I'm from Canada.
Okay, yeah.
Calgary, Alberta. Yeah. And so, yeah, I was in a bunch of bands, you know, nothing crazy.
but you know, and, playing and...
Yeah, I had pink hair and
hell yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
So you're a punk rock kid. Come on. So you discovered NOFX in high school, you'd say? Like, after kind of getting into some of the more, like, I don't want to say entry level, but like whatever, poppier and more mainstream type punk bands and shit?
I found it through, I was in a band with these 2 guys, and they were a lot older than me. I was probably like 17. I remember playing like, you know, gigs when I was like 15 in bars and stuff like that, you know. But I was about 17. And they were a lot older than me, and I want to say they were like 30 kind of age, and they were really cool punk rock guys, and they were like, hey, you know, it was CDs, so like, you should check this out, and I remember
all word of mouth.
I remember them being like, this is this band called No Use for a Name, and this is this band called Good Riddance, and
man.
And then once I kind of discovered that, I realized that in Calgary these bands would actually come through, and there was this little dingy community center downtown in this really sketchy part of town called the Multicultural Center. And it was literally like a room and like strung out and Good Riddance. And, you know, I don't think NOFX played there. They were bigger, but
Yeah.
but like Lagwagon, like all these bands would come
all the
through.
foundational bands of the
it was
scene.
awesome. Like I really got into it there.
Yeah. So once you hit up Fat Records and Mike and everybody, and you're sort of underway with the conversations, y'all to settle on a film. Can you just kind of outline the process? Like, how long did it take to make, and like, what was it like aggregating all this footage and sort of like, telling the story correctly?
Yeah, I mean, it took about 2 years, maybe
Okay.
a little longer, to make, which is not that abnormal for
No,
like
it
a
seems
real
reasonable.
feature doc. I mean, usually our commercial docs we make a lot faster, but yeah, it took about 2 years. You know, in terms of finding all the footage, it was really ground level. You know, I remember like we went to Melvin's house and went into his garage, and he had like all these Rubbermaids, and we were like pulling them out, like what's
Sorting
in here?
through the relics and everything.
Just VHS tapes, those little DV tapes,
Yeah.
CDs, DVDs. NOFX had thought of making a documentary 20 years ago. And they had put a blast out to their fans and said, if you have any material, like if you have video of our live shows, if you have this, can you send it to us? Like mail it to us. And lots of people did, like hundreds of people did, and they never opened them. And so,
You're like a punk rock archaeologist
yeah.
or something.
So like when we pulled a Rubbermaid, I remember pulling a Rubbermaid out of Melvin's house and opening it, and the like envelopes were in like unopened. Like they were dated from 20 years ago. And so we were to open them up, and it would be like, here's this show for your documentary. You know, it was dated 20 years ago. Can you sign this? You know?
That's wild.
Here's a demo tape of my band. They're all from like 20 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so we found it all, digitized it all.
So it eased the process a little bit, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it did. Yes.
So what were some of the more difficult moments of making the documentary? Who was like difficult interviews or things that you were finding that you were chasing down, I guess you would say?
Yeah, I mean, one thing was we wanted to interview every punk rocker we could get our hands on, and that was challenging because the punk rock community is very loose.
And changed a lot,
yes,
too.
changed
It's not
a
as
lot,
tight.
right? So we kind of came up with a strategy where we would go to festivals where there was a whole bunch of bands playing. Like we went to Riot Fest, for example.
Yeah, these almost Renaissance
Yeah,
festivals.
like these big where there'd be like where I think it was 2024 Slayer was coming back, and it was like Slayer, Fall Out Boy, and NOFX. So we went to Riot Fest, and then we rented a sound stage and had a van, and we would go to the side of the stage and be like, can we interview you?
Yeah,
and they
that's
would
a great
say,
idea.
oh, I got 10 minutes, and we'd run them out to a van, rush them to a sound stage, and rush them back, and that's how we got a lot of the interviews. And we did that at a bunch of festivals. One thing was sometimes we had to set up by the stage, so it was like super loud. And we wouldn't have been able to make this documentary 2 years ago, because what we were able to do is we would interview them, and when you'd watch the raw footage, the music would be blaring, but we were able to use AI to take all the music out.
Like RX, like some Isotope RX and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
And it like took all the music out, and so we had these crisp, clean interviews, even though they're interviewed like literally
the
beside
future
a kick
baby.
drum.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing's like doom, doom. Obviously, like there's an inherent comedic nature to NOFX and their whole style, and at times it's like I feel like they paved the way for that sort of like tongue-in-cheek thing in punk and pop punk, and they really paved the way for bands like Blink-182, shit like that. How'd you balance the comedic nature of the band with doing the documentary?
Well, I think it's irreverent. Like they're everything they do is irreverent. Everything's kind of tongue-in-cheek. It's like unexpected, and that's kind of their brand, or that's also just Mike's personality.
My band think I have a drug problem.
They're pitying me. Like, oh, Mike, you're fucking 57, bro, and you're still drinking and doing coke. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, it's like you can't take it out. Like it's there.
And one thing you find is that when you're telling a story that has four perspectives, they don't always agree on what happened or how something should be portrayed or what went down. I mean, they disagree a lot, and so sometimes those jokes are revealing. Sometimes,
there's like look past the curtain almost.
Right.
If you're patient.
Like sometimes the jokes are revealing. They're kind of like it feels like a dig, but it's love, like, kind of all that kind of stuff. So he just kind of leaned into that and said, it should be a little messy and irreverent and funny. And there are parts of the movie that are just completely made up, like,
Yeah.
And there, I mean, 99% of it is real, but just like NOFX, like when they put in, if you remember their album, So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes.
Yeah.
But they put photos in that album that weren't them, but they said it was them.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So speaking of maybe a few disagreements, like, was there any pushback, either featuring the band and the drug use by the band? Was Mike just a completely open book? Did you did you find any lines? Were there lines
Yeah.
in the sand that, like, certain guys were like, hold on.
I mean, everybody in any documentary I've ever done is sensitive about things, right? About
Yeah.
something. I mean, they're a spectrum. You kind of
course.
have, on Mike is the far end of the spectrum. He does not have any boundaries in terms of what you can and can't show. He, in his mind, I don't want to speak for him, but in his mind, the more honest he is, the more open he is, the more real it is, the more engaging it is, the better it is for the audience, the better it is for him. And so they all kind of follow that kind of leadership, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, it's always a negotiation. NOFX that's one thing that I just love about them, is that they are real and they are raw and they all are messy. And if you've read like Hepatitis in the Bathtub and seen them live, they don't hold back very often.
Yeah, that's never been part of what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that they would decide now to
be like,
change the whole script.
We're gonna be, in suits and ties now.
Yeah. There's a lot of inward fighting and drama behind the scenes in a lot of bands. How would you think NOFX stacked up to that when you were working with them? Or maybe just like them versus other documentary projects. Like, did you find a symbiosis amongst them, or did you feel like there was walls being put up at any time or anything like that?
I guess what's kind of unique about them, one thing I was surprised at when we started, was that their personal lives are a bit siloed. That they live in different cities. They don't live within driving distance of each other for the most part. Some of them do. But they're pretty spread out. They kind of have their own things going on. Mike is really focused on, like, the punk rock museum and his side projects.
Yeah, he loves
Smelly
that.
has his surfboard and skateboard empire. Hefe is acting. He's really acting. Mel has kind of a new family, and he's doing his own music projects. So their personal lives are quite siloed, but when they come together, I mean, when I was with them for 2 years, they were on tour for almost the whole time. So when they come together, they just fall right back into that.
To the roles and into
that
the band.
camaraderie. And if you watch, like, I've watched hundreds of hours of their old tours from like the 80s and stuff, and how they acted in the 80s towards each other, it's like the same now.
Yeah, that energy.
Yeah, that energy.
That's like what I think is so contagious about it. I think that their energy inspired so many bands like them, and sort of like changed the ethos of a lot of bands. I think there's always this like badass cool shit in the 80s. Everybody wanted to be in feathers and tight clothes and be really sleek, and they had this whole just like raw honesty thing that felt, I think, that ushered in like the new era of punk.
Yeah, and
like,
it feels like it's real, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that's what I always liked about Nirvana, was it had that teenage angst
but
to it.
badass, not on like, I'm so badass. It's just badass because it's badass.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And NOFX was like, this is us. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, and that kind of energy of just living without shame.
Yeah.
This is us. This is our community. We're not Green Day. We're not Blink-182. We don't give a fuck. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. But if you are here, welcome, hugs.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, we love you.
And it's there's like, I think that I feel like I know that they were very influential to Blink or Green Day, but like also just the whole scene. Like the whole scene, I think, progressed in a way that, whether or not they say, like, and I think they do, NOFX was influential for sure.
Yeah.
So what's it been like, you know, presenting the film, seeing it with folks in a theater, you know, watching the fruits of your labor, getting to be with the guys, see the finished product?
Oh, I mean, it's been great. I mean, I've become very close to the guys over the last few years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really cool watching it, seeing what people are reacting to, seeing what's kind of they're engaging with, seeing what they're connecting with, and it's surprising sometimes. They're like, oh, I didn't realize people would connect with that as much as they would. So that part's great. I mean, we screened it last night at South by and at Bushy Street Commons, and it was amazing. I mean, all the fans came up, people were crying, hugging. It was great.
Yes.
I mean, it's a celebration for the fans too, because NOFX has ended this 40-year run, and people have like grief over that, because there's people, you know, myself included, but there's a lot of people who have been following this band for 40 years.
Their entire lives.
Yeah, like physically following them, literally following them, but also just following them online, following them at home. They have all the albums, they have all the compilations, you know, everything. And the fact that this band is now over, that community isn't going to physically meet anymore in that way is like, you know, it's causing
Catharsis.
Yeah, it's like a cathartic. That's a good way to put it. So I think people are going to these shows and getting a chance to. It's also, the shows are much more intimate, right? It's not like a 10,000.
No, it's yeah.
So you get to go watch it with 100 other or 200 other NOFX fans.
Full on
engaging with them, and then the band is there. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You know? So it really was special last night.
Well, what a special thing to be a part of, and thank you so much for joining us in the booth, man.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure.